Today on Dr. Phil.
Demons are watching me right now.
Inside the mind of a schizophrenic.
I will see their faces distort and their eyes go black. Aliens monitoring my thoughts. The voices are telling me I should die.
Are you hearing voices today? Can you mimic the voice?
Plus, a brother and sister desperate to save their sick mother.
She installed cameras to catch her psychotic behaviors.
One bastard Brian Dalton in my refrigerator.
She tells me that she saw someone murdered in her own apartment, that she sees people coming into our apartment through the outlets. It just goes on and on. I can't help her.
Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6. If you're going to talk to me, you're going to have to be honest.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Showtime. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, check in. Go, Dr. Phil.
I have some serious questions for you today. Could you ever imagine hearing voices that don't exist? What if you constantly thought people were following you, trying to poison you, out to get you? Imagine having all of these thoughts, paranoia, and delusions every single day of your life, just dogging you, stalking you, ever present in your face. We're talking about schizophrenia. It's a taboo topic for most people, an illness not many understand that is both fascinating and frightening. Today, we're going to put the spotlight on schizophrenia and show that while it is a complicated mental illness, you can live and function with this condition and take the fear away that the public feels towards the mentally ill. Now, my first guest knows this firsthand, and she's been living with schizophrenia since she was 18 years old. Take a look.
I suffer from schizophrenia paranoid type. My mother started hearing voices long before I was born. I believe I inherited it from her. I was about 11 or 12 when it really started to scare me that that could happen to me. I started to hear the occasional voice at 16, but it wasn't until I turned 18 that I had a full psychotic break. I started seeing demons and distorted figures of people's faces. I would see my own self decomposing when I would look in a mirror, and that was quite terrifying. I tried to stop those hallucinations by drinking. I did my best to hide it. I tried to kill myself, but the psychiatrist that talked to me in the hospital, I wouldn't tell him that I was hearing these voices. I just said that I'd broken up with my boyfriend. Finally, when the alcohol didn't stop the voices anymore, I went to my family doctor, and at that point diagnosed me with psychotic depression. In my mid-20s, it was like I was in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. The voices were shouting at me. I was constantly paranoid. If a group of people were laughing nearby me, I assumed they were laughing at me. I started believing that people could read my mind, that they knew what I was thinking. I really started to have a hard time differentiating between what was real and what was not real. I began getting these feelings of the aliens monitoring my thoughts. I wasn't diagnosed with schizophrenia until I was around 30.
My wife Mary tried to protect me from what was going on until after she was diagnosed with schizophrenia that she told me, more detail about what was going on.
Despite the medication, I still get voices and hallucinations and delusions and paranoia. Right now, the voices are telling me I'm an idiot, I'm making a fool of myself, and I should die.
What else are they saying to you?
They're just telling me that I'm fat and people are gonna laugh at me. Most of the time it's male voices. They will talk to me, they will talk to each other about me. Sometimes it's one, two, sometimes it's like a whole group just shouting at me. There's been times that I've wanted to stab something into my ears just to make them stop.
When my wife first told me about seeing demons and hearing voices, my initial reaction was fear and concern for her.
When I'm hearing a lot of voices and someone is talking to me, I have to really focus on what they're saying, otherwise I can't hear them. So I often will stare at someone's mouth while they're talking so that I can get a better idea of what it is that they're saying. And sometimes it'll even go so far as to where I see the words coming out of their mouth and falling on the ground. Stress is a big trigger for the voices and visions. I often will see demons, sometimes angels. When I see people driving by in cars or walking or biking down the street, I will see their faces distort and their eyes go black like demons are watching me. I've been afraid of Ken before. I've seen him look like he was dead and decomposing. I try to isolate myself from the world as much as I can. I avoid people and I work in an office with no windows and a closed door. I recently thought that people were coming into my office and moving things around and trying to poison me. Earlier this year, my husband had an errand and left me at home alone. And I was seeing demons waiting outside the bedroom door. When my husband came up the stairs and into the room, I thought he was the demon disguised as Ken.
Mary was huddled next to the bed with a knife, and I took the knife away from her and held her to me. I had thought that she was actually going to hurt herself. I only found out later that she thought I was the demon.
It seems like it's on this side of my head. It's strange. Sometimes it comes from both sides. Sometimes it's like it's right inside the middle of my head, like a voice, like a radio is in my head. The voices often talk to me in my car on the way home from work, and I answer them because I know I'm alone. They laugh at me. They tell me I'm a fat cow, and I tell them, shut up. You know, I don't need that from you. Just knock it off. Get out of my head. I've gained a lot of weight on the antipsychotics that I take, and it became a choice being a size 4 and psychotic or being heavy and being sane. I don't want to take these medications. I don't want to have the side effects that I have with them, but it's a trade-off. I may not be pretty anymore, but I'm there for my family, and that's why I keep fighting.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm okay.
You're all right, Kim? Yeah. Now, first off, I want to really thank you for being here. You know that what we want to do today is we're not here to sensationalize this. We're actually here to demystify it, and that's one of the things that you wanted to do that was important to you. And I think people know that we don't ever book anyone for this show that's currently in therapy unless and until we've talked to their treating psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, and gotten their full cooperation, and we did that with you. In fact, your primary therapist is here. Mr. Zeman, thank you for being here, and he's right down here, so you can see him. We also brought you out ahead of time and showed you the entire environment today. We showed you that tape piece before we played it on TV so you'd kind of know what was there. And you say that it's pretty representative of what you actually experienced. Tell me about that.
It's very accurate, especially the way you portrayed the faces distorting. That's very accurate, and the voices and the words that come out of people's mouth and fall to the floor, that was very accurate.
Are you hearing voices today?
I heard some earlier. They said I'm going to make a fool of myself on the show. I also heard some on the plane coming in. They told me the plane was going to crash and that nobody would miss a fat cow like me.
And the voices told you that we really didn't want you here, that you were too fat and ugly, that you weren't smart enough, that all of that you weren't going to be here. When we come back, what happened tonight, Mary believed Ken was trying to kill her in her sleep. Plus, what it's really like for Mary when she's not on medication and is a full-blown psychotic state, as we show you inside the mind of a schizophrenic. That's next.
The wood grain on the doors will look like water flowing. Sometimes my screen on my computer at work will seem to melt. When I close my eyes, I will see a kaleidoscope of colors churning in different patterns. The voices will shout at me to kill myself. Earlier this year, I left my gentle and loving husband and moved away because I thought that he was going to kill me in my sleep. I didn't tell him that I thought he was going to kill me. I just told him that I couldn't stay with him anymore. I didn't really give him a reason why. And, you know, I even filed for divorce.
I thought it had to have had something to do with her psychological problems. I just wanted to take a step back and let her work through them, but still be there for her.
After I was on my own, I started believing that my son was going to kill me in my sleep. And he's only 12. I brought it up to my psychiatrist, and she increased my medication, and that feeling went away. Luckily, my husband was willing to take me back once I finally came to the realization that it was a delusion, that he would never do anything to hurt me, and I know this.
It's a subject that most television media wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. We're talking about schizophrenia. It's a mental illness where a person hears voices that don't exist, can have delusions, debilitating paranoia, and even visual hallucinations. Now, as you just saw, Mary and her husband Ken are living with this every day. She was diagnosed with chronic paranoid schizophrenia 5 years ago. It actually started much sooner than that. She's a wife, a mother of a 12-year-old son, and holds down a job all while dealing with her illness. Now, she's on medication. She's doing extremely well. Well, when Mary is on her meds, she still hears the voices and has hallucinations and some paranoia. But when she is off the medication and in a psychotic state, it's extremely intensified and difficult for her to tell what is reality and what is a psychotic episode. So let's take a look at this tape.
If I stop taking my meds, I get severe delusions, paranoia to the point where I can't function. The voices will shout at me to kill myself or that my son is going to kill me. It's a constant bombardment. I've seen myself disintegrate and decompose. I'll see demons. Sometimes I'll see them by themselves, like freestanding. I'll see them inside other people, and it'll jump from person to person like they're stalking me. I will get a strong sense of smell of burning or decay that tell me that the demons are coming. When I'm off the meds, the voices get much worse. I start to believe strange things, that I'm supposed to be a prophet of God and I'm failing and I'm gonna go to hell. I hallucinate very badly. I'll see angels. When I see an angel, I see a person that looks somehow cleaner and brighter than the average person. I also will start to see trails, like if I move my hand in front of my face, I'll see the trails smeared behind it. The wood grain on the doors will look like water flowing. Sometimes my screen on my computer at work will seem to melt. When I close my eyes, I will see a kaleidoscope of colors churning in different patterns. Sometimes I'll see flying things. They'll fly at my face and I'll jump and I'll wave them away. When I'm driving and that happens, I have to really focus on the road in front of me. It can be quite terrifying.
Pretty accurate?
Yes.
Do you ever stop and put a voice in your head that says, you're doing a really good job here? I mean, do you realize what a nice job you're doing?
Not usually, no.
But I mean, but I do want you to think about that, because even though you have this problem, you're working, contributing to society, raising your son, being a wife, all of these things are still happening in spite of that. And that is a very high level of function.
Yeah,
would you agree, Joel? I mean, you work with this all the time.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm just so proud of her. She's amazing.
You've also been able to get on an airplane and come here and do this. How's the noise in your head right now?
They're just calling me an idiot right now. I'm ignoring them, but they're
So you're hearing this from like one side of your brain?
actually, it's right now, it's like it's right in the center of my brain, but it's not my voice, it's not a thought, it's an actual voice.
Okay, and what is it saying and what does it sound like? Can you mimic the voice?
Well, it's a male voice, and it says, "You're an idiot, you're gonna make a fool of yourself on this TV show."
So you're hearing that the same as you're hearing me? That's just like another person talking to you.
Exactly.
While I'm talking to you.
Yes.
And so you have to really focus because you're looking me right square in the eye. So are you really dialing in and focusing to do this?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I am.
How do you feel about the audience being here? And they're tough. You're not going to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, I'm trying to forget they're there, frankly.
Okay. Because if you pay attention to them, then it can get...
In groups, there's always certain people that can read my mind and that put thoughts in my head if I look at them and make eye contact.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that.
Yeah, my wife's one of those people. She can read. She can read my mind for sure. I mean, even if I'm just sitting here thinking. She said, "You're not going to do that." So I think that's for real, though. So, well, let me tell you, we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk to some other people that are dealing with aspects of this. If there's anything you want to say and contribute, then we want you to do that. We're gonna put you down here in the front row. Are you comfortable sitting down here?
Yeah.
Okay, and if you get uncomfortable, will you tell me?
Yes.
Or whatever.
I'll flag you down.
Yeah, and we'll get you comfortable because we want you to be comfortable. I'm just so proud of you for coming here and letting people know what's going on. Okay? All right, up next, what do you do when it's your own mother who is constantly talking to voices and believing that people are trying to kill her? To add to the problem, this mother thinks there's nothing wrong with her. In fact, she thinks everyone hears these voices, not just her, everybody, and that she's just fine. A daughter's desperate plea to help her psychotic mother when we come back.
The Arthur and the Golden Girls, they were all over Michigan.
She has all kinds of delusions and she's constantly paranoid about everything.
I would imagine the feds are going to have a field day there, Gabrielle.
It's a topic that frightens most people. We label them crazy, psychotic, insane, and we just seem to want them to go away. But what if this is your own mother, someone you care about? Now, Tim and Anne Marie say their mother is constantly talking to the voices, people that just clearly don't exist. She tells her children that she's being lasered through the walls and says that people are being murdered in her home. Now, Anne Marie wanted me to see exactly what was going on with her mother. So she installed cameras in her mom's kitchen to catch her nonstop psychotic behavior. Let's take a look.
Do you have the Mary Williams white microphone with the Roberts bunch? Brian Gall? The Arthur and the Golden Girls, they were all over Michigan. I would imagine the feds are going to have a field day there, Gabrielle.
Over the last 6 years, schizophrenia has become a monster that has crippled my mom. She is currently living in my brother's apartment. She pretty much sits smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. Her only outside source is to go to the store and use her calling card to call me on the phone.
Hi, Mom.
A typical phone call starts out normal for about 2 minutes. Shortly after, she just goes off into a tangent.
What are you talking about?
I can hear somebody with a gun through the cell phone, wherever you're at.
Can you feel it?
I can hear it through the cell phone. Yeah, they're off
Who are you talking to?
at the radio station. They mic everything.
What do you mean they mic'd it?
Well, they put little mics connected to the stakes in the ground all the way through their wash machine, Timmy's dryer, and I can hear them with body bags.
She talks about President Bush being in her garage.
President Bush is in Tim's basement, Betty is in the basement doing this.
She talks about seeing me wearing a mask, tells me that she saw someone murdered in her own apartment, that she sees people coming in the apartment through the outlets. It just goes on and on. This illness has been extremely taxing on my mom and my brother.
It's been hard to see my mom like this, seeing her just deteriorate.
This morning, I went into Mom's bedroom. There were 4 sharp kitchen knives sitting on her dresser. They were just big. She picked him up. She was like rubbing him like back and forth. I was actually afraid for my own safety.
Yeah, it's not safe anymore.
She sat there and watched me sleeping last night. She said she saw people by me. I opened up the refrigerator. All of the food was moldy. It just reeked. She unplugged all of the appliances, the refrigerator, the freezer.
Her response would be, there's speakers in the fridge.
Oh, isn't that right? One bastard Brian Baum in my refrigerator.
My brother drove over to my mom's apartment, and my mom had turned off the heat in the house and turned off the breakers. He found my mom sleeping a foot away from the space heater, covered up with a blanket. He found the oven on and open and the stove burners on. I first noticed that something was wrong after her second divorce. My mom would talk about people following her. She thought that her ex-husband's family was tampering with her car. One day I walked into my mom's house and it was in shambles. I asked, why are all the clocks taped up? What did you think when you were boarding up the attic? And my mom told me that she thought people were coming in from the attic. I saw a TV that had been sitting in the living room thrown out into the back hall. She thought people were talking to her from the TV. She got rid of it. My brother and I petitioned the court to have my mom hospitalized.
The police came, took her to the hospital for an evaluation, and then brought her to the psych unit.
The hospital kept her for about 2 weeks. They put her on medication, sent her home. After my mom was feeling better, she didn't think there was anything wrong. She was in denial of any problems with her health. The medicine ran out, and the illness just took over. It excelled at a speed of light.
And someone that got hired by the feds to take all of this down. Wow, that's a $10 billion reward.
My mother thought that my girlfriend's boys, which are 4 and 6, were gonna shoot me because she said she saw them steal a gun. I'm getting worried that she's gonna imagine that somebody else is one of her delusions and stab them.
I love my mom so much. I want my mom back.
Well, the there's pit that I saw remote controlling their garage as the dump truck's driving down the freeway.
I don't want her to have to live like this. And I can't help her because she doesn't think there's anything wrong. And unless she hurts someone else or she hurts herself, there's nothing I can do.
Why, it's just something else to listen to those body bags being slid down into the pit.
Difficult to watch. What kind of toll does this take on you as the children?
It's frustrating to see somebody who cared for you and did whatever it took to be your parent and not be able to help them.
And what we saw on the tape is pretty much her situation 24/7, except for the few hours that she has fitful sleep, right?
Right.
Because she doesn't sleep a lot.
No.
And so she's just up like smoking, talking, pacing, walking, just frenetic at times.
Yep.
Okay. What do you do when you have this kind of situation? Obviously a contrast to Mary, who is able to function in a much different way. So what are the answers for Anne Marie and Tim? Will their mother wind up on the streets? Is she going to harm herself or someone else? And what do you do when you're up against it? We're going to talk about all that when we come back.
They were trying to kill Frank. Hey, Mr. from Dow Chemical. You got that, Chris? It's Sylvia. I can hear everything you're doing right through the refrigerator. You hear me, Janie? You're getting caught by Mount Mary College tape recording system for what you're doing.
There was a lot of stress that my mom went through in a very short period. My mom filed for divorce. She had her best friend pass away in her arms. I never really saw her grieve or mourn.
Well, we're talking today about schizophrenia. It's a mental illness where a person hears voices that aren't there, has hallucinations and delusions, and can be extremely paranoid. Now, let me say, this is not that someone is possessed, it's not evil. This is someone that has a brain dysfunction, and there are huge stress factors involved. And what we're trying to do is shed a light on this, because so many people deal with this kind of mental illness in their family or other kinds of mental illness. And it doesn't get better by ignoring it or hoping that it'll go away. You all know that. And people think that it's multiple personalities or split personalities. That's not at all what we're dealing with here. But what we are dealing with is someone that's having a very difficult time separating reality from fantasy, right? You know, schizophrenia is kind of an umbrella diagnosis for a lot of different clusters of behaviors that are pretty poorly understood. The typical onset of schizophrenia is much earlier in life. It's later for women than men, but it's like late teens and early to mid-20s. And we didn't see this in your mom until like 40 years of age. And so you look for other explanations, and we know that she had a tremendous amount of stress in her life at that point. She had a divorce at that time. A friend dies in her arms. I mean, and she didn't grieve about that. She internalizes all this. We know that she is sleep deprived. And let me promise you, I can take any member of this audience, deprive them of sleep long enough, and they will become psychotic in their behavior. And it can just kind of swirl and start heading downhill. Tim and Anne Marie are going to need some legal help to get your mom to get the care that she wants. So I want to introduce attorney Carol Wessels of Wessel Law Office in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, which is right near you guys, which is here to offer her help. She specializes in elder law. Carol, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
There is a procedure. There are steps that you can go through respecting the person's rights, but yet getting them the care that they might not have the ability to see that they need. True?
Absolutely. I've represented people with mental illness who have been on the wrong ends of the legal system, either because they've been criminally charged or being evicted because of their disabilities. But the legal system, if you use it appropriately, can help people with mental illness get the types of treatment that they need. And that process is the type of process that we would be involved in here with Anne Marie and Tim. It's not an uncommon process in the field of elder law, because for a number of reasons, you may have a family member who's not making safe decisions, Alzheimer's or other diseases or mental illness like we have here. And the family's at their wits' end because they've tried everything and they really don't know how to get the help they need. What I do, and other elder law attorneys like myself, when we get contacted by a family such as yourself, the first thing we look into is whether there are less restrictive things that can be done, like powers of attorney, advanced directives that a person would on their own choose to do, that name someone to make decisions for them when they're not capable to do that. But we try, if it's at all possible, to allow somebody to keep control over their life.
To give her as much as she possibly can. And you've got to realize you just don't have the ability to provide her what she needs at this point. She needs professional care. She needs professional help and support and safety. And so we want to see if we can work towards that and see if we can bring her some relief in this and give you some help along the way. How do you feel about that?
That's great. That's awesome. That would, and it'd be 10 tons off my chest. It's just really hard for me.
That's right. It's been a long road, has it not, Tim? And I want you to feel good about it, not guilty about it. This is something that we're going to do for your mother and not to your mother, okay? This is a gift that family members can give to someone, where they get them where they need to be to get the help that they need to have.
Thank you so much.
You get behind this?
Definitely.
Our goal is to bring your mom home where y'all can love and share with her. And when she gets to the point that she's got her feet on the ground, and as Carol says, she can allow some control back in her life that she keeps as long as she's got her feet on the ground. Coming up, they were confused and scared when their grandmother was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and now they watch their own mother sit in a corner talking to the voices. Rachel and Melanie fear that they may be next in line. They're only 23 and 17. They're asking, are we going to be the next generation? Is the clock ticking on us? Their story coming up.
My mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia about 3 years ago. My grandmother was also diagnosed.
I worry a lot that I will be diagnosed with this sickness. It's always in the back of my mind all the time.
Today I'm trying to shed some light on mental illness, particularly schizophrenia, and demystify this. We're talking about that mental illness where you hear voices, where you think people may be out to get you, where you see things that just simply aren't there. It is an illness that can be hereditary, which worries 23-year-old Melanie and 17-year-old Rachel because both their mother and grandmother suffer from this mental disease.
My mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia about 3 years ago. Not long after my mom was diagnosed, my grandmother was also diagnosed.
My grandmother had an episode at my house and it was really scary. It was just me and my sister home and we didn't know what to do.
We're dealing with 3 generations of mental illness. My mom's been in the hospital once a year for the last 3 years, and she stays for about 3 months. Before my mom was diagnosed, she would take care of us and take care of the household and just be a really great mom.
At the present moment, my mother's not doing good. I don't know. Her medications aren't strong enough for what she has right now, and she's getting worse every day. So it's really rough to watch. My daily life is really stressful. I have a lot of weight on my shoulders and I can't get rid of it sometimes.
Me and my sister talk about schizophrenia and what are the chances that I might have it or my sister might have it. I worry about having signs myself and if I would notice and what I would do about it.
I worry a lot that I will be diagnosed with this sickness. It's always in the back of my mind all the time.
I wanted to be on the Dr. Phil show to ask him what are the things that I should be looking for and what are the things that I could do to prevent this illness from happening to me or my sister.
Let me ask both of you this, and I want you to think about it, and I want you to be very, very honest with me. Mary was telling us when we went through your timeline of what happened, you first started hearing some voices as early as your teens, right?
Right.
Before you were 16, but certainly when you were 16, pretty regularly by the time you were 18.
Right.
Is that
18 is when I had my first full psychotic break.
But you didn't talk about this for a number of years before you had your full psychotic break, correct?
Right, because my mother also has schizophrenia, and growing up with her and knowing that she heard voices, you know, lights talking to her and seeing people that weren't there, I knew that that was probably happening to me, but I was in denial.
So the question to both of you is simply this: are you experiencing any of those things that you don't want to be there, but they are there? Are you hearing any voices? Are you having any other than just normal, we all kind of feel put upon sometimes, but I'm talking about delusional sort of things or hallucination experiences at all? How about you?
Me, no. No, I haven't experienced anything like that.
It's like so many other things that we talk about in healthcare. Early detection and early intervention is very, very important. So, question based on genetics, are these girls destined to a life of voices, paranoia, hallucinations? I'm going to tell you what I think and what you might need to know about your own family when we come back. Well, it's a word that scares a lot of people. It makes folks think of straitjackets, padded walls, and it has the general public afraid of people who are afflicted. We're talking about schizophrenia and the people that are living with it every day. Now, Melanie and Rachel's mother and grandmother have both been diagnosed with the disease, and they fear it may be their fate. Now, what I want to say to you is that, frankly, we don't know everything we need to know about schizophrenia. But I'm just going to tell you that I just don't believe that anybody has a clear understanding of the for sure etiology of schizophrenia. We've not found the schizophrenia gene, that you either have it or you don't. Research tends to indicate that there may be about a 10% genetic component to schizophrenia. And if you get schizophrenia, then there's a higher concentration of somebody in your family having had it than in the general public. I just really have to tell you that there are so many things that contribute to this. And if you're good about managing stress in your life, and you're good about dealing with your problems and not internalizing things, it's always good for your mental health. But you are not in genetic prison here headed for schizophrenia. Do you believe me when I tell you that?
Yeah.
Do you believe me when I tell you that? All right, I think that's very important. Mary, how are you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah.
Is your head quiet, or is it a little noisy in there?
It's quieted down a little since being on stage was a little more stressful than being here.
A little easier. See, stress does have an effect, doesn't it?
Stress
When you're under the stress, it has an effect. We'll be right back.
A frantic search tonight after witnesses say a woman tore off the clothes of 3 young children, then tossed each of them into the bay one by one.
With an empty baby stroller still parked on Pier 7, police, fire, and Coast Guard units combed the bay tonight.
When police arrived, they found her standing near the railing, as if waiting to be arrested. She reportedly told them mysterious voices made her do it.
That was a woman who was diagnosed with schizophrenia and was not taking her medication. If you are dealing with a mental illness, even though you may not like taking medication, even though it has problems with weight and side effects sometimes, please, please, please do that. Get appropriate help if you're feeling it slip away. Now, there are early warning signs to this. Dr. Barbara Kornblatt is a professor of psychiatry at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and she's the wife of one of our advisory board members, Dr. Lonnie Sherrod. As the director of RAP, the Recognition and Prevention Program, she has created a list of behaviors that could indicate that your child is at risk for schizophrenia or in the early stages. Now, these signs are going to be on drphil.com, as well as a list of mental health resources. If you have schizophrenia, you can contact Schizophrenics Anonymous at 1-800-482-9534. The American Psychological Association at apa.org, and the American Psychiatric Association at psych.org. Of course, both of them www before. The idea is don't live in denial, reach out for help, it is available. Mary, thank you so much for having the courage to come here and help demystify this very, very important disease.
Thank you for giving me a chance
We appreciate that.
too.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. So long.